listening to episode 111 of Mitolife Radio. I am Matt Blackburn, and today I have on the show Adam Hart, fellow biohacker, the founder of Clear Impact, a biohacking community. Adam and I have been following each other for several years and saw our journey progression through all of our different experiments and finding balance. And I'm really glad that I stayed in touch with him because I launched this podcast and now I'm able to share his wisdom, which is largely centered around this thing called natural biohacking. And I just like how he breaks it down really simply on his website. There's 6 major categories: environment, sleep, nutrition, human connection, breath, and movement. And we talk about a little bit of all of those in this episode, but we talk quite a bit about breathing, and that is one of Adam's major, I'd say, natural biohacks that he uses to stay balanced in the modern world. He shares his journey of being pre-diabetic, overweight, anxiety, food allergies, depression, drug addiction, and how he got out of that. And now he's a successful entrepreneur, a father, and he has the concept of balance ingrained in his system, how to always come back in balance, largely using breath to affect heart rate variability and the state of the nervous system. So let's jump in. It's a relaxed interview, kind of like coffee shop style, but there's a lot of practical tips that are shared that I think you guys will really like. Here is Adam Hart. All right, I'm here with Adam Hart. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks for taking the time to come on and share your wisdom. We've had a very similar journey, I think, with the quantum kind of lifestyle, quantum biohacking, cold thermogenesis, and sun gazing. It's cool to watch your journey, and I think you've been watching mine, and you really emphasize just getting outside and getting into nature, which I really appreciate.
It's exciting. It's exciting. The journey is exciting, but it's also exciting to share with others some of the pieces in it, because it's so much easier to tap into this idea of this fountain of youth than we're being led to believe. And I'm 48. I just turned 48 last week, and I feel really, really freaking good, right? So, but I know how the opposite of that is. So to have perspective is great. Being pre-diabetic when I was in my 20s and overweight and suffering with depression and anxiety and had food allergies and all sorts of things, and told by the system, I don't want to crash the system too much, but just being told that these things some of them were incurable and some of them would take you forever to figure out. And, you get to that rock bottom moment and lucky for me, a light hit and I found a way out. And that led me on this journey for 20 plus years now.
What was that light? Like for me, it was like a YouTube video.
For me, the light really was discovering rock climbing.
Wow.
Yeah, it saved my life. Rock climbing saved my life. I'm originally from Toronto, Canada, and again, I was right from a young age. I had a really poor relationship with just my own nervous system function, but it started for me with really understanding that food was such a go-to for stress and anxiety, my depression, and so I became really highly addicted to sugar as a kid, and that kind of evolved and was diagnosed with ADHD. I was put on Ritalin as a kid, but yet I'm every day I'm running around with a chocolate bar in one hand and a Coca-Cola in the other. So obviously I'm bouncing off the walls, and but as I got older, I went through a bullying situation in the corporate workplace after I graduated from school, and that kind of spiraled me down into a really, really deep depression, and alcohol started to kick in. And so, all the things that I know now, but then didn't know was being triggered by needing to just feel moments of pleasure. Like, how can I just get some relief? The sugar as a kid, and even as I got older, and the alcohol. And so when I found rock climbing, it came at a time when I was 50, 60 pounds heavier than I am now. And again, just feeling so down and out. And me and a buddy were just downtown Toronto, and we were like, man, I don't want to get another gym membership. This sucks. I don't know. How are we for swearing on this? Is that cool or no?
We're good. Yeah, it's uncensored.
Okay, cool. So but I was just so pissed at my situation, and I think that helped, is that I really got disturbed with how I was feeling, and I refused to get a gym membership. So we were rollerblading downtown, right? I was like, well, maybe rollerblading will be something I like to do, instead of another gym membership that would frustrate me and made me feel guilty. And we stumbled into an indoor rock climbing gym, and I was like, whoa, that's kind of neat. What's that? And we got in there and we tried it out, and I got halfway up this climbing wall and I just completely freaked out. My fight or flight kicked in, my fear of heights and panic attack, but something triggered that I hadn't felt before that I really got attracted to, and it was this moment of peace that I didn't know anything about. I had no personal experience with feeling calm and peaceful. So I went back again and again and again, and I kept getting this access to this beautiful, peaceful space of calm that was coming from the movement of being on the wall with these plastic holds and not thinking anything. It was just about movement. And I got addicted to that because it was the only way that I knew that I could feel that. And it ended up transforming my entire life because I just pursued rock climbing and left everything behind because it was like my escape. And that kind of started the rest of the journey for me.
That's really cool, man. Yeah, there's a lot of parallels with ours. I got into rock climbing with my friend Garrett. We would just go free climbing on rocks by this like river, all these little waterfalls, and we just jumped from rock to rock, and probably could have easily broke a leg. We were pretty reckless, but I had my Vibram 5-finger shoes on, and so my grip was good.
Yeah.
But I remember the piece. I mean, and there was no cell reception, so we were just getting full spectrum light, grounding,
totally
no radiation hitting us. So it was, I can relate. It's interesting, the different things that give people that sense of peace. It's kind of different for everyone, right?
Yeah. And I mean, we've heard it in the athletic world before, this idea of state of flow. And if you're a runner, it's the idea of the runner's high. In climbing, it was a little different than, I'm a pretty heavy mountain biker now, and it's a different type of flow. Where climbing, it's very static, and it's like this beautiful movement and breath, and how you use your breath is everything. And I live in Squamish, BC, Canada, and there's this really beautiful granite monolith we have here. So it's almost like you have this big wall in your backyard. It's 5 minutes to the base of this massive cliff, and I'd be up halfway up this thing, and I'd have to calm myself down. I'd have to really focus on all the past anxiousness that impeded my ability to perform as a kid in class, and even as an adult in all my everyday life. But on the rock, it kind of just forces you to figure this out. Like, I can't panic here. It's not like at home and whatever everyday life. Okay, you're just used to it, but here you can't. And I kept doing this breath work over and over again. And every time I did this same breath work, it led to me feeling calmer, more peace, and also gave me back my endurance and my strength. And what I did was I started to research what this breath was. Like, what am I doing up here that's making me feel this strong, this powerful? And can I bring it into my everyday life? How do I bring this to when I'm in my car and I'm experiencing road rage, when I'm sitting in traffic, which I've had several wrestling matches back in the day in the middle of traffic. or if I'm standing in the grocery store and I'm pissed off because I got to wait in line, how do I calm that response down? And doing the research on it was pretty quick that it was really based in HRV, heart rate variability, and that became, for me, was the portal in. Like, okay, so there's science behind this. This is about the variability, the beats of my heart. If I can create, in the moments of stress, of my own personal stress response, if I can create some peace and calm in the variability of the beats, and just really, really notice what my mind is up to, because the mind is just, it's like this constant battle between the mind and the heart. And the mind just wants to keep you in reactive state, where the heart just wants you to live peace and calm. And I was in my head for most of my life until I discovered that I actually have way more control over this than I ever was told or taught. And we all should know this stuff from the moment we're born. Well, we probably know it when we're born, but it gets bred out of us by the system and by our parents. So how do we bring that back? And that was really, the climbing gave me access to it. But then when I learned and understood the science of this, and how you can reset your own nervous system in a matter of seconds, not sit in meditation for hours to figure this out, or go on these huge journeys to find your inner peace and purpose. It's like, man, this is in seconds. You can learn to harness this. It's a muscle. You just have to know that there's a way in. And so I was pretty stoked when I figured this out.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think my first biohacking device I ever bought was like the M-Wave 2, I think, and it's like this little ear clip that goes through your earlobe.
Yeah, I've got one. I use it with my kids.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, and I think they even have software or something where you could do a program and then you could see it visually. But for people that don't know, heart rate variability it's like the time in between heartbeats, right? And you would think they should be equal, but they should be different. And the more different,
right.
I don't know if it's like a Fibonacci ratio. I've heard that before, but it's like a very specific spacing.
Yeah. Yeah, I ended up just kind of creating my own. I call it heart flow, and it's 33 seconds. And I put my hand on my heart. I close my eyes if I'm not driving, and I really engage a 4 in, 7 out. And as long as my rhythm is nice and clean, which is kind of the critical piece of the reset, like the cleaning the signal through the vagus nerve up to the frontal lobe, turning the executive function back on. It's all about rhythm. The more it's clean, it's going to send that nice signal up to tell your brain, hey, chill out. We're okay. Relax. And then the thoughts kick in, and the thoughts say, no, we're not okay. We're not okay. You gotta grab the cookie, Adam. Grab the cookie. You need it. It's like, fuck you, brain. Shut up. Right? The access is quicker. But yeah, like you say, it's the variability you wouldn't think that it's supposed to be more variable, but that's when you're in coherence, is when it's more, there's more variability between it, and it's not even. It's kind of funny.
Yeah, the Heart Math Institute, I think they published a lot of research on this, right?
Yeah, totally.
Specialized in it.
When someone asked me about it more and deeper, because I'm not a science guy, right? Like, I'm just a guy that was so unhealthy and then figured out how to harness my own nervous system through natural hacks, biohacking. That then I was like, okay, like I'll try in my best to learn some science, but I direct everyone, go to Heart Math and go to Heart. And Heart Math is so well known. People often say, well, isn't that Heart Math related stuff? And I'm like, yeah, totally. It's like, there's no secret to this stuff, but it's nice to have the resources out there for sure.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to ask you about, Alex Honnold. Have you watched him like on his crazy climbs?
Totally. Yeah.
That makes
living
me
in
nervous.
Squamish. I mean, Squamish is one of the bigger capitals of climbing in the world. So I've had a chance to meet Alex and see him climbing, and nowhere near that level, obviously. But being proficient at climbing, I understand what it takes. Like, some people look at free solo and just be like, that is just like insane. And I'd look at it too and go, it's insane. But to really know that sport and know what that takes, it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah. I wonder what the statistics of death is for free climbers that at that level, because it's just like one slip of a finger, it seems like, and be off.
Yeah, I'm more interested in how he in the biological aspects of that mental physical, which only he could know. It's not something you can duplicate, nor can I duplicate what I feel and what I experience like fingerprints. But to tap into a level of focus and flow like that, maybe I have similar experiences in what I do. I don't know, but that is just like, it's like you say, there's a section on that wall that he does that's known, I think it's called the boulder problem. And this is like just insanity that you can be that fine tuned in your movements thousands of feet up in the air with nothing other than just you and you're in that it's pretty cool. I don't know if it's inspiring, to be honest, but it's pretty rad.
Have you ever done anything like bungee jumping or like the squirrel suit like that or
No, 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 no. I
laying
got a lot of buddies who used to squirrel suit. Most of them, once they had kids, they gave it up. But that's kind of like I always figured for me in the athletic world. Once you get into the air sports, you're kind of in trouble because of the sensation that you get from it. But I get, what happened for me is I learned how to bring the same feeling that I was starting to get in climbing. How can I bring that into my everyday life? And I realized, well, wait a minute. When I'm outside barefoot on the ground and I practice that breath work, it's the exact same feeling. I'm there again. I'm on the wall in the middle of the rock, having to harness my energy. When I'm with my kids and they're screaming and yelling, and I'm feeling my nervous system rev up, and I get down on my knees, I look in their eyes, and I do the breath work. Boom, I'm there again. It's like I don't need like that's why like when you ask about the squirrel suits and whatnot, I think what happens there is for many of us, we don't understand the biological creation of the feeling. So we keep seeking out more ways to feel it and becomes that addiction where I feel like I've gotten to a point over the years where I've, through the tools and the natural ways to hack into that now I have all of these beautiful tools throughout my day-to-day that keep bringing me back into that feeling without having to chase it.
That's awesome. So like there's different ways to kind of tap into our nervous system and take back control of it. Breath is one, like regulating blood sugar with food is another. We have like different ways of doing it, right?
Totally. I mean, again, this again comes down to having the toolbox. I mean, I feel really strongly that the first entry point is the breath, and like I mentioned, this heart flow breathing. That's kind of the number one that when I've been doing a lot of corporate wellness training for 15 years and online coaching program that teaches people how to do just what we're talking about. And the number one step is the 33-second reset, the heart flow breath. Once you've got that in, what happens is it takes about 2 to 3 weeks of doing that breath work 3 times a day. That's it. 3 times or more. It's less than 2 minutes a day. But yet you notice that your heart starts to call you in when your nervous system takes over, fight or flight. And then you have a choice. You have a choice in that moment to either fall trapped to your primitive brain's desire for survival, which is all it wants to do. So it triggers your thoughts to go after the things that create the chemicals that it wants for energy, dopamine specific, adrenaline, another. So we don't realize it, but it's getting us to live these patterned lives to distract us from our true energetic power, which is coming from the heart. The heart is parasympathetic. The brain is the sympathetic. It's like that's at least how I live. It's like, okay, it's not all bad. Doesn't have to be where I have to eliminate all of the stress response, but I know that my brain loves to go after the things that it wants to feed itself. So the more you do the breath work, the more you have control over the brain's desire to trip you up. Once you have access to that, which takes about 2-3 weeks of doing the breath, then you can start to hack in with other pieces. Like you mentioned, stabilizing blood sugar. Grounding outside barefoot is another one that just expands the space live there. And I essentially I have these 6 areas to focus on. Once you have the opening there and the doors open through the breath work, then you can look at your sleep, you can look at nutrition, you can look at movement, you can look at your human connections, and you can look at your environment. What's around you? And you start to look at those areas and you say to yourself, okay, well, how can I clean these areas up? Not in a way where you're doing them to lose weight or to get your quality of sleep back or all the pieces that we think we're missing or we're lacking. Instead, it's about how can I use all of these areas to further strengthen my relationship with my own nervous system response. That's and amazing. When you start to pull those in, it's really something how you can start to feel connected to your own body in a way that I don't know how else you can get there in that way unless you sit in meditation forever.
How important is the time of the 4 seconds in, 7 seconds out? Because I know there's different breathing techniques like box breathing. There's Wim Hof, there's Tanko, and being in the community that I'm in, like Pro Metabolic, they emphasize carbon dioxide is not a waste product, but is like Albert St. Georgie. It's like kind of like it allows oxygen to be utilized and even structures the cell. Like, could you reverse that and do 7 seconds in, 4 out if you wanted? Or
I think as long as you're being conscious of the experience, how is it making you feel? And it's always the feeling that guides the relationship, as opposed to the mind telling you it has to be a certain way. I need to lose weight, so I need to go on a diet. I need to get in better shape, so I got to hit the gym. It's like, well, your body has a whole other freaking plan for you and your mind, but you're not letting it get to that space to teach you and to guide you. And so if a 7-4 works for you, or a 3-3, or it just needs to be something that gives you a reset and calms the system down, that you can feel the direct link to, whoa, wait a minute, that is another way to live. That's another way of being. And the only result really should be a sense of feeling calm and peace. That's it. Not the brain telling you, you got to have it this way. It better be that way. You better hit the gym and start doing, an hour and a half. Otherwise you're not doing it well and you're not doing it good enough. And, right. And the diets and all this and all that. It's like, it always comes back to let your body heal itself first, recover, and then you start to really get the energy flow back online and you begin to attract the things that keep you there, as opposed to letting your mind run the whole show, which it has no freaking clue what it's doing. It just loves it loves being fed the anxiousness of it because it keeps giving it cortisol and adrenaline and epinephrine. It's like we don't know the basics of our own biological function to be able to really look after ourselves at a level that it's really critical now for all of us to understand how to harness calm and peace to let the body do what it wants to do. We're so stuck in our own heads that we're not letting it do like our true powers.
I love that. Yeah, I think a lot of people are over-exercising or under-exercising and buying tons of diet books and jumping from raw vegan to raw primal and all these different little fad things. And it's like, I've had people reach out to me that say, I'm breaking out on vitamin E or your Shield or whatever, eating more pro-metabolic or I gained a little bit of weight. And I'm like, it's all good stuff. Like, it's not permanent. Like, some people need to gain some weight, right? Even though everyone wants to lose.
Totally. And I think your body has a natural, innate understanding of what it needs, but it can only be harnessed from a parasympathetic nervous system state. It can't function from fight or flight. It's too inflammatory, and it's too hormone imbalancing. It's like all the chemicals in the body just get dysregulated. So if we can harness the parasympathetic, and ideally using natural biohacking techniques, as opposed to listening to what everybody else is telling you should do, once you start to tap into it, it doesn't take much. But here's the thing around this is that, and especially from teaching this for so long now, your brain is going to battle you on this. The moment you start to create peace and calm, what's the first thing the brain's going to tell you?
Do something.
Right? It wants to fill the void. Right? It wants to distract you from harnessing, like the heart energy is so much more powerful than the brain. There's so much science around the output of energy of the heart versus the brain. And it's just but the heart wants you to honor it. It wants you to breathe into it. That's why the vagus nerve comes through there and links directly to the brain. It's the direct communication channel to the brain. But if you're not honoring it and communicating with it, it's just going to sit there and, it's going to be autonomic. It's going to breathe for you and you're going to get through life, but you're going to miss out on the beauty that's available and the abundance. And on top of it, it's where you also have the ability to access your personal vibration for what you attract more of. And so it's such a shame to go through life without understanding that you are the creator of everything and you can create the most unbelievable abundance if you harness your own nervous system.
That's awesome. Adam, have you ever used a sensory deprivation float tank? So I was having
a little bit. Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a real test because I've done it like 3 or 4 times and actually getting one just because I feel like it's going to help balance me out. But that's a true test because I've been in there and you feel the thoughts. It's like, why am I wasting my time in here for an hour? I could be working. All these thoughts come in when you're lying there doing nothing in the dark.
I love it. Well, and it's a great biohack, right? Again, it's like when we think about biohacks, and for me, really the definition is being able to create a result in your own biology. And ideally, it's pretty quick, so you can get the result from that. And being in a deprivation tank, it clearly gives you insight into your own nervous system function and gives you insight into what your brain is really up to. And it gives you enough time in there to play around with that a little bit and get this relationship going where, wait a minute, I am not my brain. I am not my 70,000+ thoughts that I have every single day. I'm actually separated from that. So I think it's a beautiful, anything that helps you calm the nervous system is a beautiful and really important biohack, and I know that one of those areas that I mentioned, like the 6 energy accelerators, one of those being sleep, this is one that really, really is important because one of the easiest hacks for nervous system function is managing light, right? And I know we were going to tap in on this, but it's such an easy one to help support your nervous system function so that you can clean up before you get stuck on trying to do so many things. You have to clean up what I consider a lot of the cultural norms, a lot of the things that we consider to be normal that aren't normal, that are leaving your system revved up without you even knowing it. So if you can find out some of those and just clean them up, and most of them you just clean up once and they're done, and then your nervous system is functioning way better. Anything you do after that, you're just going to find a lot more progression at a easier rate.
That's awesome. Yeah, I know there's some people that recommend getting a red headlamp to navigate at night. I think that's a little weird. I'd rather change out the bulbs. But even just going to the fridge at night and opening up the fridge and getting blasted with this light. I have a orange bulb in my fridge, orange or red, and that's one of the easiest biohacks. Just switch out the bulb. And I use an incandescent A19. Might be better, but anything's better than white LED at night.
Yeah. Well, what I went through, and then this is interesting because I spent many years in the corporate wellness space. I've kind of moved a little bit away from it, but biohacking environments inside of the corporate space to help manage stress. Like there was this massive rise in 2010 in prescription drugs being used by employees in many companies that I was working with. And there was this like lack of understanding of, well, what's going on? Why are we all of a sudden having a rise in pharmaceutical costs? Well, it was a rise in prescriptions for depression and anxiety, not just by employees, but by their significant others. And it's like, well, what's this coming from? And there's one invention in particular that came out in 2007, which was the direct link. And I saw it right away. I was like, with the organizations I was working with, I was like, guys, what you're experiencing at work and the decrease in performance is coming from this one introduction into all of our lives. Any idea what that is?
Artificial light at night.
Who's this guy? Right? The as soon as these entered the scene, the smartphones, it elevated our addiction to blue light, and most of us not recognizing that. Wait a minute. So what are you saying? You're saying that all light is bad for me? Well, if you're not managing the 24-hour cycle of that, you're working at a deficit, and you're thinking at a diminished capacity, and you're a fraction of your possibility.
I love it. Yeah, I just interviewed a primal sex expert in the last show, and he's anti-porn like I am. The great website Your Brain on Porn, and like I think part of that addiction, why especially men get so sucked in, is just that blue light and the dopamine. There's like a blue light dopamine connection, right? Whether it's pornography or social media, that's like connected.
Totally. I mean, outside of the notifications and the likes and all the social side of it, the blue light is you wake up in the morning, the first thing that most of us are doing are throwing on a light. We're not paying attention to what it's doing to our biology. And as soon as your retina see that light, it reads it as an afternoon Kelvin reading temperature. And your body is now being flushed with cortisol and adrenaline, because that's just, the brain's need to survive is saying, okay, crap, it's the afternoon. Well, let's get going. And so now your brain is getting the energy that it wants to survive. And without you even knowing it, you're now running downstairs, you're making your coffee, you're making your toast, you got to deal with your kids, and there's lots of noise, and it's just like this, it's a cascading vibration that you don't even see begins the minute you turn on the lights in the morning. So again, this idea of being able to clean up the nervous system relationship, it's like once you clean up your light, it's so beautiful how you start to feel immediately. The idea of just waking up feeling relaxed and calm, and having that be a slower pace, and coming down and being more present with whatever it is that you're doing in the morning. Like you mentioned, like having a couple of red incandescent bulbs, getting yourself a pair of blue blocking glasses. I mean, this is like the easiest $100 hack out there. That's like, it's crazy to not have blue blocking glasses these days.
And even if someone can't afford that, because I used to work, tons of minimum wage jobs, like $8 UVEX Skype, or even I think Home Depot, you can find them. The orange glasses. They look goofy. They're huge plastic ones, but those are what I started with, and I believe it totally upgraded my brain within a matter of like a few months.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly, like, I spend so much time on the computer that I noticed it pretty quick, like within a couple of days, just the focus, and less brain fog and less eyesore, and and knowing enough about the nervous system at that time through climbing and nutrition. When I finally got heavy into light, and as we do have a bit of that background together, that was such a big aha. Oh my God, this is a massive biohack that I wasn't paying attention to. It's like, what, like, how did I miss this one? Like, how are we all missing just our basic circadian rhythm? How are we not honoring our 24-hour light cycle? It just doesn't make any sense. We evolved to live in sync. How are we not taught this in school? It's like, what the fuck's going on?
Right? Yeah, and I grew up with pretty extreme myopia. I remember my brain hurting and getting headaches because I was trying to look at the board. I was like, why is the whiteboard so blurry? I'd have to walk right up to it to copy down the math equations or whatever. I eventually got 5th generation LASIK eye surgery, and I don't regret it. I still have 2015 vision. Yeah. Better than 2020 for people who don't know. So, there's mixed thoughts on that. But I think there's so much information out there about how to improve your eye health. But The light aspect, if you only do that, there's all this nutritional stuff, and I think PUFAs and iron mess up the eyes, but just the light, just blocking the light and getting good frequencies of light can do so much for the health of the eye. And I wore contacts for years too, and that's like starving the eye of oxygen. So many booby traps that people that are wearing contacts, I mean, they have hormonal disruption 1,000%, right?
Yeah. I mean, there's so much going on that, and each one can lead you down these like months or year-long rabbit holes that, it's not always the easiest thing to navigate, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. That's why, I keep coming back to the more you can harness your own nervous system. At the same time, if you can really hold a vision for yourself on what you do want, we're really good in our society of knowing what we don't want and what we're lacking and what we need to fix. And so that, like all language, it has a vibration, and then you just vibrate more of that particular vibration. So you're just going to attract more instances in your life that create the same experience, the same feeling. It might show up as another form of lack of some kind, or another thing you have to fix. But my experience has been, if you're harnessing calm, rest and digest energy, you're really honoring your nervous system. At the same time, if you have a vision for what you do want, every time you practice the breath work and you bring that in, you're bringing in your intention at the same time. How do I want to be in this moment right now? How do I want to feel in this moment right now? And it's really amazing how all of a sudden the day unfolds in a way where if you're mindful and you're not living in your head, you're going to see the same feeling show up again. It's going to show up again in other ways. But the key is, it's not going to show up necessarily in the way that your mind wants it to, or is telling you it should. It's going to show up in ways where, as long as you're staying calm, you're going to feel it. You'll feel the same energy and the same connection to when you practice feeling your intention. The trip up on this idea of attraction is in relation to thinking it needs to be a certain way. It needs to show up a certain way. It's not in what it should look like. It's in the feeling that you really need to harness to be able to notice how you are the creator of everything.
That's cool. Yeah, I'm sure we've all had friends that I remember growing up. I just had this one friend that would just talk about his crappy relationship over and over, and at some point I just get so bored. I'm like multitasking while I'm listening to them rant. And I'm sure we've all had friends or people like that. And then there's people that focus on their disease, or they focus on their symptoms, and it's hard not to. I mean, when you're in chronic pain, I've been there. Where it's just like the pain is so intense that it's hard to not focus on it. And maybe there's times to like go in, during like a deep tissue massage, like really go into the pain. But there definitely is truth to that. I mean, I've seen it over and over my entire life, that people that focus on the same thing, they just keep getting the same result over and over and over and over again, instead of, like you said, maybe using breath to kind of center, and then be able to pivot and go a different direction.
Well, it's just natural human biology. All language has energy, and so your internal dialogue has a frequency, and it's a measurable frequency, that the heart radiates, and if it's always set to the negatives, then that's that, and it's easy for anybody to be able to test this. Really, you don't need any to be hooked up to anything massive to understand how this works. You just need to pull yourself back from your life and look at the areas of your life. It's not going to be just one area, your health or your sleep or your relationships or your career. It's going to be all of them. You're going to have similar feeling related to all of them. If you're lacking something or feeling stuck, look at all those areas and get honest with yourself. If they feel a little stuck, all of them, which they should probably do, then okay, how do I flip the script on these? Instead of focusing on one, which is what society wants us to do. It's like, well, if you're unhealthy, you better get your nutrition in check. Okay, great. Yeah, but yet my relationships are still stuck. Okay, well, now you better go get a counselor for your relationships. Okay, I'm going to clean that one up now. Right? This game is not about fixing. It's about honoring your own biology in a way where you can attract what you do want. And then when you really dial that in, they all clean up simultaneously. Your body begins to do what it wants and how it needs to perform in your brain. And then your relationships clean up, and your nutrition and all of that. And then you can look, and then you can pull yourself back and look at all those and go, wait a minute, that all feels really good now. And I didn't have to focus on any one. I just had to create the internal space for the vibration to shift.
I love that. And I've heard this concept over the years of finding your weakest link. And I feel that if someone's in a mental loop, which I see every day, someone's caught in, they're living with a roommate they hate or whatever the loop is, they just keep focusing on that day in and day out. Getting out of that, I mean, it's to find your weakest link, you have to get out of that loop somehow. I mean, that's been my personal experience.
Well, so much of it requires trust and belief that you're in it for a reason, right? Like you are the creator of whatever that scenario is. Bad partners in roommates or I remember like I was bullied by my boss for so long. Like, well, how did you attract that, Adam? Well, I attracted it because it's a learning experience. It's an opportunity for me to harness my relationship with my response to it. And if I can really understand how I can control this, maybe not control, but play around with this internal dialogue I'm having with this, both mentally and physically. My nervous system response is creating a whole chemical concoction that my brain's feeding off of, and at the same time, it's creating a vibration that I'm attracting more of that experience. How do I understand how I can shift my response to this so that it becomes something completely different, right? And then what happens magically is your roommate decides to move out without you having to do anything because your vibration shifted.
That's cool. The bullying thing, I'm glad you brought that up. That's such an interesting topic. I think it's such a problem in schools, but even in the professional setting, like I used to work at Sports Chalet at the mall. I'll just say it, Mission Valley Mall in San Diego. And it was hell. It was like the managers there were like tyrants, and they probably got that from the CEO or something. But they were just very demeaning, like on a emotional level. And I find it interesting, like the people that are bullied would probably make the best leaders, while usually the people in management roles shouldn't be there because they have authoritarian kind of personalities that they like to control. I feel like they bully the people that actually should be the leaders because they don't have that like kind of ego drive. Like they don't want to lead, but they should. That's kind of my little theory there.
Well, having done work in the corporate space and working with executives and high level teams, the best leaders are the ones that love themselves. Really understand what that means to love and feel whole and complete. Because the way that you can then show up for others, not as like, I got to be your buddy or I have to be your kind parent, but in a way where you can actually hear what their needs are. To be able to hear somebody's needs and be able to hold space for them to communicate without your nervous system getting revved up is a really powerful leadership skill that so few leaders have. And again, it's emotional intelligence, and that comes from nervous system function. It's like most of this is all coming from nervous system dysregulation. And great leaders know how to regulate their nervous system and know how to hold space for others to feel access to that kind of nourishment. And we need, and like we're saying, like we need this as a species right now more than anything, for parents to have the ability to do this for their kids, and for teachers to have the ability, again, but nobody's teaching at a level that really is significant on how do you tap into this in a way that fits our lives, our really busy, hectic, go pace of lives. We're being bombarded by all these different cultural norms that are revving our nervous system up that we don't even realize, like the artificial light as an example. And so we're running around at a deficit, and we're wondering why we're not evolving.
That's awesome.
We can flip it on a switch, though.
That's great. I love it. Well, let's
I don't know
jump
if I'm
into the
rambling too much. Is it rambling too much or it's all good?
This is all amazing stuff. We have a ton of questions though, so let's just start getting into these questions. I think a lot of
Yeah.
them are pretty quick and simple, but this is a good one. Can you biohack motivation?
I love it. Oh, that's great. I think at the core of that question comes understanding your ability to access purpose slash passion. And I don't think you can find purpose passion through your head, thinking your way. I think you can find it through harnessing what you crave most. And again, if you can calm the nervous system state down and train your heart to activate to help you do that, which is the breath work. And at the same time, then you hold the vision for yourself. You create it. Like I do this whole process with my clients where I teach them how to design a vision. Because it's all language. If you have the wrong language in how you design it, it's going to vibrate the wrong vibration. So how do you design it? And then how do you activate it? And what you'll find is if you do this correctly and you hold space for it is one of the strongest vibrations for us as a species is in service to others. Is finding a way or attracting a way to be serving others to connect to that same energy that you are now experiencing, which is really abundant overflow of energy because now you have more to give others instead of just giving it away in a way where you're not taking care of yourself. Now you've taken care of yourself and you have this overflow to give others. And so now you're attracting those who need your support to feel that same way. And man, talk about motivation, right? That's when you just have an abundance of it, and it's hard to lose if you're honoring the heart versus the head. It's easy to stay motivated.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love that. I like what you said. You can't find purpose and passion through your head. That's totally been my journey. Like all of like the milestones in the last 11 years of studying health, it's always been like that heart feeling that would just come at certain moments. Like it's telling me like I'm on the right path. I'm meeting with the right people, going to the right places. Like it's that guide, and it's kind of you can't really explain it.
No, you can't. You have to really harness it and learn the feeling, learn the separation from what fight or flight does versus rest and digest, so that you're really the one that's harnessing it. And it's pretty amazing what you can achieve.
What biohack do you think makes the biggest difference?
Outside of the breath work and really honoring the reset, the 33-second reset, I have to say light. Managing the 24-hour light cycle has been so profound. Getting the sun as much as you can. Ideally, if you can be out there, obviously with your shirt off, with all your clothes off, whatever you can do to get as much sun. And it's not always the easiest depending on where you live and the time of year, but watching all the artificial light and again, this is a feeling thing. Until you clean it up, you're not going to notice what you're missing. So cleaning it up and I know, Matt, like, okay, blue blocking glasses, getting the filters on your phone, my phone, I have this, you click it 3 times and it goes completely red. I think all our phones have these features. So, and having the red lights in the morning, my family, that drives them a bit nuts, but now they're used to it and they can see. They always complain, I can't see. But it's amazing how all of a sudden your body adjusts and you can see.
Yeah.
So
And I
that's
think
a huge one.
yeah, I love that. The yellow glasses have been super helpful. Like when I go visit family and friends, like not many houses I go to, pretty much none, I guess, are as crazy as me, and they switched out all the bulbs for orange or red or yellow.
Yeah.
And so I'll just wear my yellow tinted glasses, and that way, half the blue light's being blocked, but I could still keep my brain on. And that's been a game changer for like travel, because I think that's part of why people get so thrashed when they leave their house. It's like they're not bringing an umbrella when it's raining for their eyes.
Yeah. And it's such a, like, again, for me, it's so important that they're easy and quick wins. Because if like the brain doesn't get the experience of a result, it starts to tell you it's not working and I need to do something different. And so it's really important that some of these hacks give you a quick win so that you buy in, and you stay motivated. And in this realm too, it's very easy to get stuck going down rabbit holes of the people you see that are doing these things, right? And I know, Matt, you and I were really, years and years and years of doing this work and seeing what people are doing, you could get caught getting really distracted and going all over the place. So my recommendation on that is find your one or two people that you truly connect with and just sit there for a little while and learn from them. Get those one or two or three mentors at the most and honor those connections. Don't get stuck trying to go, right? You got Matt, if I'm Matt, great, I'm honored, but yeah, don't get stuck, because it's that whole biohacking world is it's pretty intense.
That's an understatement for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. My most extreme, I remember I was like renting an RV in South San Diego, like the ghetto, and I was a cannabis delivery driver, so I was delivering weed, and like in my off time, I was like naked, ice bath. I'd go and buy like 50 pounds of ice, dump it in, bring it down to like 55 Fahrenheit, naked, noonday. And then at night, I would go use my 4 250-watt heat lamps in my tent set up and just sit in there and like drink wine or whatever, do work and write.
Yeah.
I had it all decked out with lights and a UV light, aluminum foil lining everything while I was working on my college papers. You can really take it as far as you want.
Yeah, it's intense for sure. And all the while, we kind of missed the point of this is a nervous system game. I don't know if everybody's agreeing with this, but for me, that's it's worked as like the flag in the ground. There's no other focus than my relationship to my nervous system response. Everything else is just helping that relationship.
I like the simplicity there. That's awesome.
Well, and it's like, especially when you understand attraction, you start to realize, what else is there? Why am I trying to spend so much time focusing on so many things when I can just use my energy to attract the things that need to be here for me instead of what my mind is telling me I need to keep doing? A completely different way of living.
I love it. Yeah, I think, and if people think some of this stuff's a little woo-woo, like
I hope they do.
I mean, it's the whole social distancing BS. I think a lot of that rule, I think, was created to further separate humanity and divide and conquer. We already have religion, we already have race wars, we already have all this bullshit, and like that electromagnetic field that the heart generates that goes about 6 feet. Why is it 6 feet social distancing? So you can't connect electromagnetically with the person next to you. That's why.
Totally. And then maybe if you are stuck at home with a partner that you're not happy with, and your vibrations are just clicking off each other, and you don't have the tools. That's why there's unfortunately, so many suicides and divorces, and there's something strange about all of it, and I keep putting my heart in a space where it's like I just need to do what I can do for those that are in my vibration, and try and hold space for them to be out when they go out and connect in their vibration, that wherever that is, that they're holding space for that next person. Someone asked me recently, Adam, like, how do you intend to reach 1 million people or 100 million people with your mission? And it's like the mind goes to, well, I have a best-selling book and I've got speaking engagements and I, all my old ways of like, this is how I'm going to do it, which is just like, it's like so insane. I could still attract all these things, but it's like non-fulfilling, when in the end, it's like, all that matters is my vibration. That is what's going to hit 100 million people.
That's awesome. And I think most people aren't listening to each other. Like when you're in that balanced nervous system state, you can listen to another person. But when it's chaotic, I think where it is in most people, with dysregulated blood sugar because of vegetable oils or you name it, whatever, you're just so stressed, you're not listening. The person in front of you is talking and you're just seeing their lips move. You're not really listening. That's what they're saying.
we miss out on so much beauty and connection. And I'm not saying that I'm the best listener, but I know I know that I can feel other people in a way that I never knew I could. And it goes in alignment with what my result has been, which is this everyday sense of growth. It's like I don't know what other language to put on it other than growth. Like every day I feel like I'm feeling deeper and more connected. So when I'm like with my partner, with my life partner Susie, when I'm with her and she's communicating, I feel my old triggers, the old triggers that would throw me into fight or flight and not listen. And I've been resentful to you in the past for this and this and this, and I hear my mind go into those spaces, and I'm like, whoa, I have separation from that now. So I'm just going to breathe. And next thing I know, I'm standing in front of her and I'm hearing her and she's feeling heard, and it ends in an embrace. And it's like, that's fucking great. Right. So like you say, I agree. Like right now as humans, we need to really honor ourselves in a way where we feel whole and complete so that we can listen and hold space for others to feel heard. It's such a powerful opportunity right now.
That's really awesome. Yeah, I've been hitting the neurofeedback for like the last year. Like that's one of the coolest. I mean, it's a super high tech way of doing it, but like kind of balancing the central nervous system. It's a tool I use in my toolbox, and to kind of be more present in the moment, using dynamic neurofeedback. And yeah, we have a lot of tools available, but the best free one, I think, that is breath. I mean, that's anyone could do that starting today. So
totally, and that's why I say like natural biohacking. I'm not against any of the gadgets, and I think if as long as they train you on this on what it feels like to separate yourself from fight or flight for a little while, it's beautiful. Like a deprivation tank is not the cheapest thing. Especially to buy one, which is that's amazing. I can't wait to come and check yours out. but it's such an amazing hack. Even just sitting in a sauna for a little while, whether you like saunas or not, it's like anything that helps you experience cold. Cold thermogenesis has become something that I crave. It's another thing about harnessing your rest and digest state is it gives space to crave the things that make you feel great, and cold water makes me feel great. And I love it that it's at a point where I don't have to do it in a way where I'm like, oh no, really? Oh shit. It's like I can't wait to get into the cold water, which is such an amazing trainer for your nervous system relationship.
that's awesome, man. I took a break from it because I went pretty hard on it for a while. And I was using some natural. I went to Yosemite National Forest with my friends Dave and Will. And we dunked in the little river up there, but I guess I like between like 55 and 57. I don't really I just feel like I get enough benefit with that.
Yeah.
But to dial that in, you need your own freezer or whatever. So I'm not back there yet, but I do remember the high I got from it. It was like I remember sometimes it was so like I would feel this electricity going up my head, and then once it hit a certain area of my brain, it would buzz for like 5-6 hours into the night.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah, I guess like in all these too, you depending on how you want to play with them, your experience is just gonna, like I use it really, again, it's just to notice what my breath can do for my own state of being. I don't measure, I don't check the temperature. If I'm going in the river, I know it's damn cold. If I'm doing a cold shower, I just flick it on cold, and I do my best to do the timing that gets me connected to my breath. I'm not sitting there thinking I got to do 5 minutes. Let me check my clock. Okay, here we go. No, it's like I'm breathing and I'm just feeling, and I just know when it's enough because my body tells me, okay, I'm solid, right?
How cold is the river there, you think?
Oh boy, I don't know. I don't know temperatures really, but it's damn cold.
You're in Celsius though, so it'd be a little bit.
Yeah, I have no idea. Yeah, especially right now, it's pretty cold.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I can imagine. I'm not sure exactly where to go with this question, but inexpensive way to get into a rhythm in big cities. Say like blocking blue light, just like getting outside in the morning.
Yeah, I think a powerful one, depending on what city you're in, is especially if you're in an office building, and you're struggling at work because of all those bright lights and whatnot. I think to identify the closest tree would be really powerful, right? And honor the tree, get down there and touch it, right? Just like, with this breath work we're talking about, and then you're holding this vision for yourself, design this vision, and then when you really need a break from that environment, that artificial environment, then connect grounded to the tree and close your eyes and breathe your vision. It's guaranteed to make you feel calm 100% of the time. You will feel calmer and more peace, and you'll be vibrating a different vibration for when you go back into whatever environment you're next going into. And it will also help you attract more opportunities to feel that way again.
I love it, man. Yeah, when I went to community college, I would like drive to the park in between classes and sit in the grass and read my books and be sure to keep my hand on the grass, grounded. It made a total difference in my day, just the amount of peace, even though I was getting hit with Wi-Fi in the school, just endless signals.
Well, and we don't realize how easy this can be. Mother Nature's law is abundance, and it's supposed to be easy for us to connect to that abundance. So getting outside and grounding for a minute is extremely powerful. You don't have to go to a gym and work out for an hour and a half to get some real biological benefit. And I think the easier we make these things and honor them, then, again, your nervous system is going to clean up what it needs to clean up, and you're going to feel the difference. And it might take something, it might take something for you to get outside and touch the tree. You might have people walking all around you and you're embarrassed, but the beauty of that is noticing your mind doing that, because I don't want to put too much negativity on the mind, but that is what it wants you to do. It wants you to avoid the void, because the calm is where your true superpowers are going to be revealed to you.
I love it. What are the best normal light bulbs, non-red light, to have in the house? I know I've seen like ones that you could change, but then there's all these details with the dimmer increasing EMFs, right? I'm sure you've looked at all that.
Totally, yeah. And then there's the EMFs, and then there's the flicker rates. I don't know the details too extreme. Like, I have incandescent bulbs. I videotape all my lights just to confirm, slow-mo video, just to see their flicker rates, because I think more than anything, that's really an important part of the light piece as well, is being mindful of flicker. And that's really where a lot of the brain fatigue and brain fog is coming from, is the brain the eyes trying to decipher all the flicker that's coming at you. But I think like the lowest temperature that you can find that you're comfortable and still able to see for the things you need to see is really an ideal way to go. And it's harder and harder though to find non-LED bulbs, right? It's like part of the conspiracy, I suppose.
Yeah, you go to Home Depot, it's like you have to go to like a mom and pop hardware store. Thank God there's a ton up here, but it's like you won't find a good bulb in Home Depot from what I've seen. I always tell people, sorry, go ahead.
It's all energy efficiency. Let's take your energy away to make our lights energy efficient.
Yeah, lightbulbs.com, and Adam Bergstrom that I had on the show got me onto the bug lights. They're like yellow. So I always tell people like firelight would be like red, orange, and yellow. And yellow's obviously the brightest, so it's the easiest one to see. But I think green and blue disrupt the circadian rhythm quite a bit. This is a good question. Why does some people's brain become more active and creative at night?
Huh. Yeah, that's maybe beyond my realm, but I'm wondering just in relation to what you have around you or what your day's been like in relation to the triggers for hormonal release. And I don't know what that would be, but I'm definitely not that way at night. I'm especially with kids. I'm like, I'm ready for bed by 8 o'clock myself.
I think it was Tim Ferriss. He said like read a fiction book at night and stay away from nonfiction. Like don't read a science
Yeah.
book before bed. And I kind of like that idea.
Yeah. Yeah. More going into in a fantasy realm as opposed to an analytical. I gotta make sure I retain all this information. I wish I was better at night too, because I need to get more done. At least that's what my mind is telling me. I need to get more done. But I do enjoy a good night of quality sleep. That's another really important hack is your sleep environment for sure.
There's a good one here. Let me find it. Uh, how to recover from years on a graveyard shift. That was my first job. It was so rough.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and I have a lot of friends that are nurses, and um, yeah, again, it's like your body wants to do what it wants to do to naturally support the recovery. So it's all about nervous system, honoring that rest and digest state and harnessing harnessing it. And for a lot of folks, when you first dive into this realm of honoring your nervous system, you're going to go through that recovery process. And so, when I first uh, get folks to try this out, like if I'm standing in front of a huge audience and I share the heartfelt breathing and get everyone to do it, you notice about half the audience starts to yawn. Right? It's like this automatic nervous system response of, oh, wait a minute, I get to relax. Ah, right. And I think graveyard shift is a great example of there's so much going on in the body that needs to recover from that, because it's definitely not a natural way of being.
Yeah, I think the tips you gave on light, just starting there and then adding in there's probably some pretty deep deficiencies nutritionally that was created with that lifestyle.
Yeah, and so my take on it is to again honor the nervous system, and then hold the vision for yourself of what you do want, so that your vibration will attract to you what is going to support that. So on a nutrition front, like I attracted hemp seeds into my world in a way that I had no idea hemp seeds could make me feel as good as they do. And when they showed up, I was like, whoa, these things are pretty special. My brain didn't go to, I got to figure out how do I get more protein, that's plant based, because I'm moving away from so much meat. Although I'm not just plant based, I do eat meat and fish and whatnot. But when I found hemp, I was like, this is so supportive for what I need right now. So I think the brain and the thoughts deny us access to what we're really looking for, which we can get from attracting it through our vibration.
That's awesome, man. I found a lot of cool technologies that way over the last 11 years. It's like somehow it comes into my field and I'm like, whoa, this is like alien technology. How does this even exist?
Right. And as long as you're honoring the attraction, and if you get to a point where you're not quite sure, like we're all stuck on our to-do list and we're not quite sure, and we're just plowing our way through, but everything has patterns to it. So if something shows up and you're kind of like, this seems like a really neat opportunity, it's making me feel similar to my vision, let it go then. If you're not sure, let it go, because it will come back. Something will come back again that you're going to be like, wait a minute. That bus that just drove by had a sign on it that said exactly what that said when I got that email. And there, everything's linkable if we're not stuck in our heads.
Yeah. Oh, I used to have a friend like that years ago. This is when I was like fruitarian, but it was kind of annoying to hang out with him because he wasn't listening to what I was saying because he was so focused on what was going on around him, looking for signs. So I guess there's a balance. Right? It's like I was like, this guy's driving me nuts.
Well, it's definitely not like me for me, and like I've attracted some really amazing things over the years, but you get to this space with yourself where there's such a level of trust and belief of the flow of it that it's just easy. It's not like you have to stare at everything, and you're like, okay, wait, I'm waiting for it. It's like, no, you're just living your life, and then all of a sudden, boom. Wow, I feel great again. Oh, wow, that's cool. Oh, boom. Oh, wow, I feel great again. That's cool, great. So, that's kind of it gets easy. You don't have to stare everywhere looking for it. You just know it because of how you feel.
That's cool. Yeah, I try to help friends as well as I can through problems, but the one point I always make is like, no matter how insurmountable a current problem in your life is, and it seems like there's no solution, you're married to a person that abuses you, or you're in a job, someone that bullies you, or whatever it is, like there's always a solution, and usually it's easier than you think, and it's right in front of your face, but you don't see it because your nervous system's dysregulated.
Totally. You're blocked from being able to tap into it because your mind is loving. It's loving the chemical concoction of your experience currently. So it's patterning you in your thoughts to keep you in the state. I work with a lot of folks in addiction, and and for sure I get it, but you get to a point where you have to be real, right? It's like, I know you look at your scenario and you think it's like the worst of the worst, but that is just your own mental construct of it. And so if you can remove that, you'll be able to tap into another level of being able to move the needle in a way that you do have a solution in front of you, and it might possibly be easier than your mind wants you to think it is.
Awesome. This is a good question. Those living in dark winters in countries, what light and circadian rhythm tips do you have for health? So we're both, I think you're more north of me, obviously, but we're both,
yeah.
I don't get UV for like 5 months here, and I'm in a valley, so I only get often an hour of sun a day, if that at all. So I have all sorts of light machines here.
Totally. And if you really feel like you need to hack into it, there's lots of resources for hacking, and probably supplementation too. And I'm up in not northern Canada. I'm West Coast Canada, so we're pretty socked in, lots and lots of rain. But I still make sure that I'm getting outside, even if it's raining. You're still going to get a strong percentage of the rays. Obviously, it's not ideal, but there's something. And it's not easy. And I think the key is during those months is to continue to honor the nervous system response and honor your 24-hour light cycle, or it just makes the seasonal affective disorder that much worse. So, again, without getting too detailed on all these tips and tricks, I want to keep coming back to honor your nervous system stress response so that it can support you to feel the best that you can feel, as opposed to the mind wanting you to keep trying to focus on all these different ways of doing things, which is the slippery slope that we love to get into, and biohackers love to focus on too.
Yeah, maybe once you integrate something, just forget about it, right? Like it just becomes automatic. Like for you and me, like putting on blue blocking glasses at night, it's just second nature. We don't even think about it. It doesn't take an ounce of willpower. We just grab them and slap them on our face.
So many of these hacks can be one-time hacks, and they have such an enormous impact on your relationship to your own nervous system and your mental energy. Like, I want to make that really clear. Like, yeah, the number one result is feeling a sense of calm and peace, but it's also your brain power. I mean, your executive function, the frontal lobe of the brain is working at a heightened level, whatever percentage that is. My percentage went up, I don't know, but it felt like it was like a tenfold enhancement of my ability to think clean and clear, which automatically leads to motivation. It leads to your ability to choose the things that serve you most, and how you show up emotionally for others. I mean, yeah, it's such a beautiful opportunity.
I love it, man. And getting kind of geeky for a second, like I think I've been kind of meditating on the idea that serotonin is like the hibernation hormone. Like serotonin tends to rise in hibernating animals, bears or whatever, groundhogs, whatever it is. And what makes the conversion of serotonin into melatonin is not only the stimulus of bright light in the AM and afternoon, but the absence of blue light at night. And so that two sides of the coin. And I find that heightened serotonin could lead to a lot of emotional disruption if it's not converted into melatonin. So I just want to share that piece because I think it's
no, and I appreciate that, and I followed a lot of your work over the years because you've always had these ways of looking at things that resonated. And, again, they're once you have the capacity to hear and then the capacity to retain, then you accelerate your ability to experience. And so you can say something like what you just shared, and it starts to land in a way where you're like, oh, okay, I got that. Okay, I'm now going to put that in my pocket and use it, as opposed to everything just is coming at you and you're just like drowning, and it's like, oh my God. So, I that's why you're one of my mentors that I've learned a lot from over the years, and I'm always grateful to share energy with you.
Oh, likewise, man. I appreciate that. This is a good one for my friend. How to improve REM sleep. I recently started using my Aura Ring, and I just put it on at night. I don't know if it's 100% accurate, but it's interesting to see. And I keep trying to get closer to my friend's sleep scores. I'm always jealous that they're almost at 100. But my friend said she tried blue blockers, glycine, not eating 3 hours before sleep, 9 p.m. bedtime. I don't know if you've looked into like the tracking stuff, but like rapid eye movement, it's my understanding that's more brain related, and deep sleep is more like body related. Maybe exercising can help.
Yeah. I mean, again, there's so many pieces that you can try and poke at to say that's going to be it. But for everybody and our own personal biology, it's like the fingerprints. It's so completely different. That's again why I keep coming back to the more we honor the nervous system and we really harness the nervous system, the rest and digest, the level of quality sleep improves. I do have a couple things though I'll throw that work for me. One is I have an AcuMat that I lie on that it really supports. So it just hits a lot of the acupuncture points in the back that it knocks me out pretty quick. But how do I stay in deep sleep? One of the key supplements that I take, I don't do it all the time, but L-theanine I found a lot of support with before bedtime. Again, I spend most of my last hour, obviously the light cycle, but spending the last hour honoring my breath. So if I'm lying in bed, it's a lot of the breath work and just really harnessing being in the calm state and going from there.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, I was experimenting with like binaural beats. I took a break for years, and I was using that for like an hour at night. And I think I was getting almost like sleep before sleep. So I wasn't sleeping well because I pretty much had that hour of rest before I went to bed. So
I did HoloSync for many years, and I found a lot of value in that for sure. But it's been a while since I tried that.
Yeah, I think for some people that have trouble meditating, some of these little audio things can help just make it more interesting. Awesome. Well, I think that's good. Your website's really cool, clearimpact.io, and you have the biohacks, all those different areas that you mentioned, and you have some YouTube videos as well, it looks like.
Yeah, there's some hacking YouTube videos. There's an updated site now also that has a playbook that you can download. It's kind of like focusing on self-care and some of the myths around self-care and what you can do to start to optimize your own self-care without it having to overhaul your life. So there's an opportunity there to download a playbook on that, which I think also links you to a chance to honor a coaching call. So that's something that for your crew, I'm happy to do. I've got an 8-week coaching program. So if it resonates, then you can check out the playbook and then get a chance to jump on a call with one of the success coaches from the program, which is called Practice Your Perfect Life.
I love it. Well, yeah, there's a lot of resources here to help people, and I love how you kind of simplify it and break it down. I do my best to do that, but I like the advanced stuff and diving deep. But that people need, they need it spelled out and just and I love that how there's the different areas, and I'll put the link to your Instagram.
And I'm not good at diving deep myself,
We have our strengths. It's like we all complement each other.
Totally, I love it. Yeah, no, and the site was meant to just try and be a resource for folks, just again to make it easy, just to tap into this a little bit, and if it resonates, then And again, it's not for everybody, and if you're not ready, you're not ready. But if you are, and you need a little support and a little guidance, then again, the highest vibration is being in service, and whoever I attract from putting that out there, then that's a beautiful thing for sure. And I appreciate the support, Matt. Thanks for having me on. I'm grateful.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun. I could tell that you genuinely your heart's in it to help people, and that's what I'm about as well. So thanks so much, Adam. Stick around as I close out the show.
Yeah, awesome.
Well, I hope you guys walked away with some notes there and some practical things to implement. I love how Adam focuses so much on artificial blue light, because that is so overlooked, especially in a business environment. Whenever I just walk into whatever corporate building, if anyone's wearing glasses, they're prescription glasses, and they say, "Oh, this has blue blocking built in." But as you'll learn in my episode with Dane Barkley that created a blue blocking glasses company, that is not enough. And so you think about the percentage of people that are actually mitigating this toxin, which is a form of EMF. It's artificial blue wavelength light. It's very small, and it's not just affecting the eyes, it's affecting the brain and how we process information, and mental endurance and stamina, our ability to focus. All of that is thrown off, as Adam eloquently put it in the show, by the introduction of the smartphone. So it doesn't mean throw it away or switch to a flip phone or get rid of your phone entirely, because it's a tool that can be used properly in balance. And as Adam said, taking breaks outside, getting natural light, just getting outside in general, taking a break from the phone, however you can do that. You can mix in human connection, which is one pillar of Adam's biohacking list. Then you're able to still live in the world and live your life, but don't burn out from all of these endless things that are zapping us of energy. I really liked his breathing technique, the heart flow. I thought that was really cool. I've been playing with my breath because, as I mentioned in the show, I got a sensory deprivation float tank, and very grateful for that. It's been an absolute game changer for my nervous system, really beyond words. I just can't even express how powerfully and quickly this is resetting my nervous system. And you don't need to invest in a tank. You might not have the space for it or the money or whatever. You can find a float tank center, and I've done that numerous times in the past. Not enough now that I know, because the effects are cumulative, but it still resets you. And if you could do an hour, great. If you can do 2 hours, even better. And it's a source of magnesium. You're in zero gravity. You're getting sulfur, which helps detox radiation. And you're switching off the inputs to all of your senses that we get overloaded with, especially on social media and the phone and just modern life. So to fully unplug has been just incredible for me. And I've been having fun playing with my breath and noticing where there's blockages and noticing the feeling when there's those blockages, and just really tuning in to that is really powerful. So I love that he put so much emphasis on the breath, because that is really the switch, as he said, for our nervous system. And I like that he said the heart is parasympathetic and the brain is sympathetic. And I really liked when he said bringing that feeling that you get when you're doing what you love into daily life. Because as I said in the show, I used to rock climb with my buddy Garrett in San Diego, just free climbing on rocks. And the feeling that I got from that was very peaceful. I was grounded, my shirt off, so I was getting full spectrum light. There was no EMFs. And it was just a creative feeling. I could jump wherever I wanted. I can climb wherever I wanted. There's a lot of natural stimulation there, not from a screen, but just from the tactile feeling around and the coordination and a little bit of adrenaline from not wanting to slip and break my neck. And that peace, I think, as Adam put it, that feeling calm and peaceful, a lot of people have no experience with that, and that's very sad. I think that's where things like sensory deprivation float tanks, which is a very advanced way to do it, but you could do it in affordable ways or free ways, just using the breath. And you could stack from there and experiment and really find which area you're lacking in, right? Whether it's the sleep, the movement, the human connections, environment, the breath, nutrition. Figure out which area you could upgrade and start there, because it's not just about going on a diet. I'm anti-diet because they're always transient, and you really don't want to restrict macronutrients because it's not sustainable. You don't really want to cut out entire food groups either, whether it's a carnivore diet or a vegan diet. I've always come back into balance. That's been my whole 11-year journey, and I believe it's been the same for Adam. And it's really humbling because of all this searching, you find out that peace is priceless. And that's what I've found out, especially recently. And it's really a choice. And I think a lot of people are addicted to stress. Right? That's why people like Six Flags. They like roller coasters. It's that adrenaline, keto, intermittent fasting. It's that stress, that chronic stress, arguing chronically, gossiping chronically. People are addicted to stress. It's not just one thing. It could be a lot of things. And if you notice that, you could start moving out of that state by changing up your breath, being more aware of your breath, being aware of when you're breathing shallow or breathing through your mouth, which I often forget is an epidemic because I've always breathed through my nose and I just thought that's what people do. But breathing through the mouth is very stressful, and it does put the body in a sympathetic state. It doesn't mean it's bad. Just like serotonin or estrogen, they're not bad. It's just the context of the timing. And you don't want to be stuck in one state or the frozen state. You want to be able to go between all the different states and shift gears. And the breath is how you shift gears. So check out Adam's website. It's clearimpact.io. I'm going to put a link below. And he also has an Instagram page that you can check out. And he's on Facebook as well, Adam Hart. Great information. He has some great blog posts as well on his website. Little update on my matt-blackburn.com website. That's where I have my recommended products up there. I just put 3 new products up. The Barkley blue light blocking glasses. I believe they're affordable glasses. Instead of needing 4 pairs, you just have 1 pair with 4 different lenses in it. So there's a clear, a yellow, an orange, and you could actually choose when you put in the different lenses depending on what time of day it is. That's a really easy thing to change and upgrade, especially if you're not wearing prescription glasses. But if you are, just a little teaser, because I already interviewed the founder of this, Dane, and his recommendation for that was to get his frame and have your lens fitted for his frame, and then you could use his clip-ons for that. But it's really a big deal. It's been a game changer for my brain to just become more aware of light. Another new product I put up on the site is chaga mushroom tea bags. This is from Arctic Chaga. I actually found this company years ago when I was walking around at a cancer conference, a cancer summit. And they had all sorts of cool stuff there, Rife frequency machines, where I would sit down and get dosed, talk to different people, try different supplements, different tools. And this chaga booth really stood out to me, and Arctic Chaga. And it's a really cool company based in Alaska that provides clean, powerful chaga that's packed full of SOD, superoxide dismutase, really rich source of melanin, which has a really fascinating effect on the pineal gland. And if I drink a cup of this a day, I feel incredible. And the way to do it, it's a little bit of a learning curve, but you get a crock pot and you just keep it going, and you could throw like one of these family-sized tea bags I have on here in there, and you just keep adding water. And the key is to not boil it. I think that's the mistake. People make two main mistakes with chaga. They either brew it like coffee in like a French press, and that's too fast, usually too hot. You're not going to extract all the nutrients in chaga. Or they boil it high for a really long time. You want it like below 180 degrees, roughly, and ideally 24 hours or minimum overnight, 12 hours or so. And even better, you just keep it brewing all the time. But I will say, I learned the hard way, you don't want to keep it going for like 6 months or a year, because eventually you're going to want to clean the whole thing out and switch it out, because stuff will grow in there even at a hot temperature. But you keep the crock pot on low, and ideally you have a little probe thermometer, and you make sure that it is, I believe it's between 170 and 180, but they have the instructions on their website. You just don't want to get it to crazy boiling temperatures, because you're going to destroy a lot of the nutrients in there. And then the third product I put up on the site is the Infopathy, the glowing IC pad. This is my favorite product from them, and it's been blowing my mind. It's kind of out there when you hear about it. Basically, the idea is that every substance on Earth, whether a herb, a pharmaceutical, a mineral, a vitamin, a hormone, an amino acid, they all have a different frequency. And if we know that frequency, we can imprint it into the water, drink the water, it's called infoceuticals, and get the same effect that you would get as if you ingested the physical substance. I know it sounds wild. I was really skeptical. I wasn't expecting much, but it's a pretty affordable thing to try. And so I tried it, and it's incredible. I actually made a Mitolife Academy video talking about it for about 20 minutes, and the programs that I use, I really love the flower essence programs. I used to take those a lot for their effects on the emotions. So basically, you just put your water vessel, your mason jar, I use a wide mouth mason jar, on the pad, and it just takes 2 minutes, and you connect it to the audio on your laptop, your phone, your iPad, whatever it is that can connect to the internet and has sound. You go to their website, and then they have thousands of substances that you can select. I want to make the caveat that you do not do this with tap water, because it defeats the purpose. This is to be done in addition to filtered water. So reverse osmosis water, pristine water, whatever you're drinking, make sure that it's filtered and not tap, spring, or well water. Although the minerals are what hold the information, you want the right source of minerals in there. You want to know what minerals are in your water. And you don't want a lot of iron and calcium, because we're already loaded up on those. So check that out. The discount code's Blackburn for 10% off. I'm actually going to interview them on my show and get deep into water and coherent domains and really knowledgeable people that created this company. And my brand is called Mitolife. You can purchase my products and support the show and my work at mitolife.co. And most of the products are in. There's a few that are out. Get a lot of questions about the oyster extract. That comes in batches. Just with the state of the world right now, it's a little hard to get things from overseas. Everything's just slower because of the context of this wild situation that we're in. So just keep checking back, usually twice a week, maybe the beginning of the week and the end of the week. It tends to come back in there, but just check, and usually I'll announce it on Instagram as well. And read the testimonials on each of the product pages, because you can learn a lot about the effects of each one under the testimonials. People dealing with all sorts of different stuff and using these in different ways. I actually learned a lot by reading those. Please share this podcast with your friends. There's a new episode released every Friday. And my goal with creating this show is to break the mold, because I listen to all the podcasts out there and most of them sound exactly the same. So I aim to have on a wide variety of guests, most of which are not well known. I find they have the best information. Today's quote is from Adam Hart from his article, Nootropics, Smart Pills, and Biohacking. Adam Hart's story. Look at your phone. How many apps do you have that focus on quick bursts of activity? How many encourage you to scroll quickly through status updates and videos, often autoplaying the next selection without any interaction from you? Games are designed to allow users to pick up and play them in short bursts, with little gain from any in-depth interaction. Our attention span has shortened over the last decade, and content is being designed to meet that change. In an interesting cause-effect-cause loop, this shortened content has only served to further decrease our already waning attention spans.